of you. Welcome to the show. I am Moriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello, ladies.
Good morning.
How you guys doing today?
Very well.
Slices. Cream slices. I do apologize. Cream slices. Thank you for correcting that. Hi, Toko. How are you doing?
I've been better.
Yeah, I know.
I've been better. So I got the sad news of a mentee committing suicide. Found out today that she was an only child. Found out today
Oh my Lord.
that she has a mother that she lost her grandma this year. She was living alone with her mom and her grandma in a one-room apartment.
What?
And our grandma died this year, and she took her life this year. So that woman is all alone. You know, I'm going to try and reach out to her mom today, but she's a 24-year-old young lady.
Oh, God.
And for whatever reason, she took her own life. And we keep saying it on the show many times. Whatever it is, reach out to someone. The mom was aware she wanted to. The mom hid all the, the brands that people usually use. Hid everything from the house. They found her lying down with knife in her hand, and she had drank bleach. So she wanted to use knife. Probably she couldn't get the confidence, but her mom knew. But we just keep thinking we can handle it. If anybody is suicidal around you,
Her mom should have reached out to a professional.
Someone, somehow, somewhere, just shout, just to reach out. Anybody that is aware, people are committing suicide. This is a 24-year-old young girl with her life ahead of her, but she feels like she was feeling hopeless and she took it.
I hear she was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. That she's been making posts on her page talking about how to handle it.
Mental
Yeah, so I
illness. She's
think
been talking about mental illness back to
more
back
like
for
a relapse.
like 2 months. It has been all she's talking about on social media. So she knows, she's aware that she's going through this thing, but somehow, some of us that we know still need help.
So if you know anybody around you who needs help, or who at least having some kind of depression, you should seek professional help. Don't always assume that you can handle it.
You can't.
Nima, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Talk about stories. You know me, with my emotions. So, yesterday when we took the story of the estate of the green area in Magodo, I got calls from residents of the estate, and they named a particular lawmaker in Ondo State as being the one behind. I won't mention his name, I'll be magnanimous, as being the one behind this estate, of course, and that he's using whatever might that he has to suppress the estate, because the people spoke out and they tried to inform unsuspecting buyers who are now aware that they are buying a possible fraud, and they are allowing it to happen because they are coming with the man, coming to see the area, and residents are saying you can't stay here.
So the good news is
Lagos State has said that it's not possible to have an estate there. So.
So there's some filling the land, and they're selling that land out to people. So now Lagos State has said that entire development is illegal, and they shouldn't do that. How are you doing, Obiachulu?
I'm doing amazing. I just want to use this opportunity to beg people, beg everybody, let us try as much as possible to be nice to other people. You don't know what they are going through. Forget about the makeup we wear on our face. Sometimes people are dying in silence. It just takes a kind word. Thank you. How are you doing today? I've not seen you in a while. Call to check up on people. All this rudeness, you're trying to be proud. You're trying to feel like, no, you wronged me, I must not forgive. We don't need it. We really don't need it. Let's be kind to people. Let's be nice to people. You don't know how long you have to stay here. Tomorrow you may be no more. Tomorrow I may have gone. And then the opportunity you had to treat me nicely, it's gone forever. Let's just try, please. It's painful.
Right.
It's really painful.
On that note, so our hearts go out to the family of this young lady that died. In fact, interestingly, she was here, right? The young lady you're talking about was here in TVC. She came to take our pictures. She was working for a company that wanted to take the lady's pictures. So we were here, we stayed back for her, and she was in the studio with us.
At the photo shoot, she was one using our cameras to take pictures for us.
Oh my God.
Oh, you didn't know it was her? No. Oh, it was her. So unfortunately, it's really sad. When I heard the story yesterday, it was really heartbreaking, and really our heart goes out to the family. She was just a young girl, and she took her own life. She drank bleach. So please, let's pay attention to those around us. You never know what people are going through. And try to reach us as much as you can. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Right, let's start with the Punch. This morning, NBA signs article say hate speech bill draconian. Bill unjustifiable, Lawyers Association tells Senate. In Punch here, you have Buhari, obey the law. Showore DSS fires bullets, tear gas at the protesters. Kaduna man keeps sister in 2-year solitary confinement. Border fuel supply reps invites Aregbesola, Sylvia, and customs. Edo APC crisis deepens as faction suspends Oshomole. Family kicks as salesman dies in police custody. Nigeria subsidizing petrol for neighboring countries, says Customs CG. Senate wants textile imports banned for 5 years. And judge gives EFCC ultimatum to extradite Diezani from UK. Now, the issue on the hate speech, we'll leave that because it's our hot topic. Everybody's talking about it, so we won't focus on it on the newspaper review. However, we'll take other stories. Any other story you want to take in Punch?
The human interest story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this mother of 4, Hassana Saleh, has been kept in solitary confinement for 2 years by her brother. She was married to somebody, but then divorced, the father of her children, and then she tried on several occasions to go back to the husband. But according to the brother who locked her up, saying that the man no longer loves her. And so he was pained that she was still struggling and trying to go back to the husband. So they kept her there. That's where she eats, that's where she feeds, that's where she poos, everything in that place. But she's been rescued by a non-governmental organization. They've taken her to the hospital.
Yeah.
Hopefully she'll get treatment.
There was another story quickly in Punch about EFCC. So the court is wants to strike out Diezani's case because they have been unable to produce Diezani. You can't have a case in court and your defendant is not available for over a year. So they are saying that if they're not able to produce Diezani at the next adjournment, they would strike out the case because they are unable to produce him. So whatever they're trying to do to bring her in, we just made noise.
Extradite her.
It just looks like we made noise now.
They have to partner with another sovereign nation, so it's not going to be. It's not going to be easy. But then it's a criminal matter. The good thing is that it never gets out of time. It's not limited. So anytime we see a shadow safe,
Catch her.
we just refer.
Okay, moving on to Vanguard. Protesters stormed DSS headquarters once Showore Bakare freed. Money laundering court threatens to strike out charge against Diezani. Oshomole Obaseki feud gets messier as minimum wage federal government to release circular for pensioners and workers. Reps asks customs to lift ban on fuel supply to stations at land borders. We're using recovered loot to fund national budget, says for real. 500 teachers protest, block Cross River Governor's office. Nationwide blackout looms as electricity union threatens strike. And Ibadan Obas cut ascendancy lines to Olubadan store. Okay, let's start with Showore's issue. I don't understand. We mentioned it yesterday that he's still being held by DSS after a court has actually given him
a protest was
bail.
led by civil society to the DSS office yesterday to, of course, call for his release. And DSS responded by firing their own citizens, peacefully protesting with tear gas. So the pictures I saw in the Punch worried me because people obviously looked peaceful. And the pictures across papers.
Videos.
I saw just were scaring people away for not doing the needful. At least the worst case scenario, you let them be.
One of the person that led the protest, Dejade Yonju, said he was offered ₦1 million not to go ahead with this protest. I think that Nigerians have a right to protest. As long as it's meaningful, it's peaceful, and they're not destroying lives and properties, they shouldn't be treated the way DSS treated this particular group. There are videos showing them being harassed by DSS officials. This is uncalled for under a democracy.
In a related story, the 500 teachers were protesting also across River. What's that about?
So these 500 science teachers in Cross River State, they decided to block the governor's office with their mats and wrappers on the floor, saying that the governor won't be able to go out. They are protesting 2 months of non-payment, October and September, October. They've not been paid their salaries. Their names have been removed from the payroll, about 500 of them. And they are saying that they were recruited by an Indian company in 2015. And so if anything needs to happen, it should go through the right channel. But the governor has responded saying that they are just trying to clean up their payroll to be able to fish out ghost workers. Okay. So for those who are actually authentic, they will get their money.
Okay. Quick one before we go. Nationwide darkness looms because the power holding, currently the National Union of Electric Employees, NUI, have issued an ultimatum that in the next 21 days, if some conditions are not met, namely that about 50,000 of current PHCN workers are underpaid and that their pension aren't being remitted. They also mentioned that 2,000 disengaged staff of the former PHCN also didn't get their dues in terms of they didn't get benefits, and all those benefits are unpaid, and that they are going to go on strike. This will lead to blackouts. Why do we always wait till there's a strike or a threat of a strike? Can we just sort out these people officially before we have issue?
In the early days about this, but I don't know.
It's been a long while. Yeah. It's been a long while.
Moving on to Daily Trust. Thugs cause chaos as IGP INEC boss attend peace accord. How I found bodies of 89-year-old grandmother and daughter. Court disqualifies Bayelsa APC deputy governorship candidate. Principal killed in fresh attacks in Wukari. FG pressures China for $5.8 billion loan for Mambila Power Project. Lagos Ogun communities cry out over flood. Okay, this 89-year-old grandmother, what was that story? The major headline. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the peace accord, you know, the elections are closed already in Kogi State, and there was supposed to be a peace accord signed by all parties. At that event that was supposed to happen yesterday, the IGP, the Inspector General of the Police was there, the chairperson of INEC was there, and then, again, Nigerians, with the way they do elections, made it a fight for the fittest. I think that it's an election. It's, of course, one person will lose, one person will win. As we always say, it has to be extremely peaceful. Kogi is volatile. I've gotten calls, people are saying that they're not even voting. So I
also saw videos from the SDP candidate saying that the SDP secretariat actually was put up in flames. And she actually recorded all the damage that was done in that secretariat.
She's even asking in the papers that the elections be postponed.
Yes, she's asking that.
Are these people actually fighting to lead us, or what exactly?
It looks like a do or die. It's not really those guys that are fighting.
But they are funded. Thugs will not do anything.
All parties by now have arms. That's the thing.
And she said
thugs won't do anything without being funded. Yeah, somebody is paying their bills, and that person should be held accountable.
They had machine guns. Imagine, machine guns.
Who supplied the machine guns?
The 89-year-old.
Yes, so this is a case that I think we've talked about it. I can't remember when exactly. Yes, that a houseboy killed the daughter and the grandmother and decided to run away with the car. So the star witness, who happened to be the security guard, testified in court of how he caught this guy, saw him driving out of the compound by 2:15. He wanted to drive out, so he stopped him and said, "Where are you going to?" And he said, "Mama sends me on an errand." I said, "Mama, I've known Mama since 1984. I've been working for Mama. Mama cannot send you on an errand at this time." And so held him down and they traced Mama only to find that Mama has been killed with the daughter lying in the room. Meanwhile, in the car, he had the television, he had the ATM card, he was running away. So the case has been adjourned till next year, but investigations are still ongoing.
Okay, our final paper, Daily Sun, very quickly. Abia sets up 30-year development plan. Senate proposes death sentence for hate speech. Noise pollution in Lagos threatens to shut down mosques and churches. Senators seek ban on textile importation. Edo APC factions in expulsion drama. So let's take the noise pollution, the textile importation, and then the.
So according to the commissioner for environment and water resources in Lagos, Tunji Bello, is saying that they will soon start again enforcing their laws against noise pollution. That the reports that they've gotten over the years are too many, and they need to start to work on it. And he said that the CDAs, that's the Residents Associations of Areas, have been very effective in helping. And that worries me because, you know, the corruption that happens within CDAs are not even investigatable.
That's a different issue. But the point he also added that, that in the past, where they shut down these churches and mosques, they actually reopened them, but now going forward, they're not going to reopen them without an express document from guarantee from the CDAs that it's okay to open up those churches. So it's a major issue. Let's talk about the textile importation ban. For the next 5 years, the story pretty much is that the senators are saying that for the next 5 years, we're going to ban importation of textiles so that we can actually develop our own.
I think it's good. Let's wear Niger.
It's good they gave us notice.
Let's eat
so that we can quickly, import what we need. Meanwhile, we should actually already have industries producing fabric because tailors will suffer. If you don't have fabrics companies producing fabric in Nigeria.
We do.
The CBN has also, you know, brought an intervention for textiles. So, if you have me and you, let's go and collect money.
So, if you have an idea, you can actually get into that industry because there's money available for that.
They are funding kickstarting moribund industries. So all you need to do is go and find one that is broken down, not working, or something that is already dull. Get there and you will get CBN funding to get back.
Okay, on that note, we have to end front page review. When we come back, the only news that Nigerians are talking about right now is this issue of death sentence because of hate speech. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Right. Thanks for staying with us. So the Senate, according to report, has been under fire for proposing the hate speech prohibition bill, which seeks to criminalize the offense with death penalty. The bill has passed first reading, and at plenary yesterday seeks to establish a federal government agency to check hate speech, a whole agency to check hate speech. Now, you can join the conversation 0708066814. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, there are 4 things I'd like to really highlight here. Number 1, so the maximum punishment is death by hanging. Also proposes a commission on hate speech, I mentioned that. A 10-year jail term for ethnic hatred and forbids harassment on the basis of ethnicity. So those are the 4 pillars that this bill is based on. Now, let me start. Who wants to go ahead? Let me come to Obiajulu first. What are your thoughts on this?
Hey, I'm afraid for our democracy. That's the truth. We are gradually stifling democracy. We've not even started, you know, practicing democracy properly the way it should have been. We are now stifling and choking it. And I'm really, really afraid. But there's something I wanted to read here. It says an offender, according to the bill, is a person who uses, publishes, presents, produces, plays, provides, distributes, and directs the performance of any material written or visual. Such material must be capable of causing threats, abusive or insulting, or involves the use of threatening, abusive or insulting words or behavior. Insulting words against who?
But even insulting words in itself is subjective. So
if you retweet,
yes, exactly.
And you repost.
Yes, and you say, okay, let's take, for instance, something happens and you speak against it and you retweet it. That means you are in danger of, you know, breaking this law. So it's something that I believe would can also be abused. It will be abused, that's one. Then it wouldn't give us freedom to express, especially those of us in the media. That means this newspaper review, we'll just read it. In fact, we'll be reading the pages and be going. That's all.
Okay, Nigerians like to eat their cake and have it.
Okay.
So what this law is simply saying, take responsibility for what you say, share, reshare, retweet, whatever you do.
You didn't say that.
You're implying it. I'm just saying. Okay. Because whether we or not, we cannot just sit here and say hate speech. No, what is hate speech? Yes, as much as Nigerians can say they should define it, we've seen what hate speech has done in Rwanda. We cannot come and belittle hate speech here like it's not legal. Hate speech has led to the death of at least communities. One person can say one stupid thing, and other people will raise. What is happening in Benue State for long, under the past Suswam and co. Hate speech against tribes continue to cost people's lives. But so Nigerians need to propose a bill for this.
But Nima, you are a lawyer. And you know that the section 39 protects freedom of expression.
Exactly.
That in itself, this bill already looks like you are criminalizing dissent. Anything that is dissent suddenly becomes a criminal act.
Well, the bill is not saying once you're arrested, that's it. You'll be put to trial. So if all elements are fulfilled, showing that you deliberately said something that cost people's lives, there should be consequences.
Are we not worried about abuse of this though? The
abuse after trial?
Abuse as in I'm talking about the police or even the security officers abusing this law. So any little thing you say suddenly now is hate speech.
So
you have your day in
a country where the courts have said they should release a man.
Thank you.
And that country did not release the man. How would do I trust that country to protect my interests? At the end of the day, the Rwanda you mentioned, they did not solve the problem of hate by creating a law against hate. What they did was promote love and unity. You can't solve this problem by fighting, by creating laws. You solve the problem by promoting love, by promoting unity.
Laws,
yes,
I'm sure
there will be
has
laws,
a law against that.
but that's not the first thing. The first thing is, what exactly is our national orientation body doing? What are you doing? I have an NGO that works in Jos currently, and there are video testaments of how their weekly meetings of integration has brought together people from different parts of the country living in Jos to see themselves as one. You cannot use punitive measures to judge a psychological problem. It doesn't work. People are brought up to feel that I am Yoruba. You cannot now say, so when you want to now fight for that, if you want, I'm totally all for I'm totally against hate speech. I feel that nobody should speak up and divide our country along ethnic and religious lines.
So what would be the consequence now? If you say you are for it, what should there be consequences for it, or shouldn't there?
Of course, there should be consequences. However, we must first celebrate what is good. So we must first celebrate what is good. The government has not celebrated those that unite this country. We have not uplifted those that we have left at that level and have not given any official commendation to people that have selflessly served this country against their own lives.
Okay, but I like
you now want to punish those that are doing wrong.
I like us to look at this thing called hate speech. Let's try to define it.
What is it?
Some say that, I mean, I was reading the paper since somebody was saying that hate speech is an emotion. Same way you hate. You can say you hate a bat. You can hate
it's a psychological thing.
You can hate disease. You hate this. It's an emotion. So how can somebody criminalize an emotion that you express?
People of influence easily make comments that we had, and I'm surprised Tokwe is talking like this. When the governor talked about body bags the other time, it was you who was dissenting on that argument here, that you know that the governor was wrong, a particular governor in the north. So if people come out and they are of influence and they just say things, people who can influence a crowd of people to do things that are wrong, we can't continue to sit here and say that there shouldn't be a law and consequence. What we can be debating is that there are no, that death sentence might be too high, so maybe a life sentence. Or, you know, discuss it.
So, Dima, you think there's no law on ground?
Personally, I do not agree that there should be a commission for this. I believe that the social media handlers or the providers can be engaged to solve this.
Like
other countries have done.
Gombe. I'll come to you. Hezekiah from Gombe. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, please. You're live.
Okay.
Hezekiah, you are live. Please go ahead.
God bless you, Nima and Morayo. I'm happy to be with you. God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you too.
Yeah. The truth is that this issue of hate speech can endanger some set of people in the nation. You see, the truth is this. There's a particular way the government is going. They are trying to oppress certain people, and you cannot speak. Sorry to say this. There's an issue we had one time, the lady that was converted to Islam. And we checked the issue. That lady was charmed. She was a very typical villager. She didn't know anywhere. And we took this issue to the police and said this is what happened. But because the police were Muslims, the human rights activists, the human person they called there that was supposed to represent was a Muslim. All the people connived against us. They said if we do anything, they are going to send police. They threatened us, so we cannot speak. If that law is passed, anything you do, they will use it against you. And this is particular. Right now, we have the same issue going on in our locality right now. So this thing is evil. I don't support it in any way.
Right.
They're trying to manipulate people with it.
Thank you very much, Hezekiah. Go ahead.
So we live in a country where, according to the Animal Farm, I don't know how many of you read that book, where all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. We live in a country where the powers that be, use the powers to favor them. So even when they have those influential people, like she mentioned, make some statements, they will not be taken. They will not be. They won't be arrested. They won't see what they have said. They won't see what they have said as hate speech. But a common man who is still struggling will make the same sentence, the same mistake, say the same words, and they will use it against them.
Let me support you quickly.
Is my fear.
Remember the case of a man that named his goat Buhari? And remember what happened to him. He was picked up and arrested for naming his goat Buhari and posting it late. But the point is, we have a society that is skewed against some people.
Yes.
So to fight that is not, if I feel strongly that this community hates me and I feel it to my bones, I will tell my children, this community
Stay away
hates
from
me.
them. Yes.
You don't judge me by now saying I will die for saying it.
Yeah.
You will bring me to the table.
Yes.
You will
And find out
counsel
why.
me. You will help me understand why this community doesn't hate me and why I should love them. You don't change my mind and
Or
by
punish me for
punishing me for understanding my world the way it has been to me.
So this is the point. Let me just quickly set right Stockwell's statement. So you hate a community for hating you, and you tell your children no attendant effect, no problem. When your comments lead to the loss of lives of a certain group of people, my sister, you have to pay for that.
I agree.
You have to pay for that. So when we sit down here, we cannot talk like this. I have seen where hate speech led to the death of people in my community, and a cousin of mine was killed as well.
Right.
So they went into an Eid ground and shot at people sporadically.
Right.
And a cousin of mine, the only son of his dad, died in that situation. So the person whose comments led to such killing because of royal tussle should continue to enjoy life because his hate speech was. I don't understand.
Person should be punished, but we have laws covering that already, don't we?
No,
Okay,
not enough. So that is why the Senate is proposing this.
Okay,
If it was enough,
let me take this call. Good morning. Are you there? Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. From Lekki. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, for the first time, I'm getting disappointed at Nima's point. You see, let us be real. Let us be real with ourselves. Hello?
Yeah,
Hello, we're listening. Go on.
Go ahead.
Let us be real with ourselves. Yeah. Sometimes ago, Arewa group, whatever Arewa youth, asked Igbo people to quit not.
Yes.
What was done about it?
Nothing.
Who was arrested about it?
Nothing.
When Biafra War started their own, what happened?
They were proscribed.
That is number one. Just recently, 3 policemen, gallant policemen, was killed in the north because of the kidnapper. They went to arrest the kidnapper.
Right.
Where is the soldier man that killed the man or killed those people up to today? What has done about it? You think we should be careful where we are going? Because we land in a place that all of us will start regretting. There are a lot of law covering Nigeria, covering any criminal, any act of criminal.
Yes, criminal.
In this country, there are a lot of law covering it. That if we want to be genuine with ourselves, it's not where these people are going. We should open our eye. Nima, open your eye and be
I'm not blind, madam.
right, thank you
You're
very
being
much.
emotional here.
Thank you very much.
You're being emotional. And when we are emotional, of course, you will talk like this. If, for instance, the people who said they should quit the North, their speech led to the loss of lives, and then we try to prosecute them for want of laws, we could not find a punishment proportionate to the kind of statement they made, what would you say? Now they're proposing a bill and people just want to be emotional and say, no, we cannot, we don't want to see this bill. Or look at the credits of the bill, look at the merits of this bill before you say anything. I don't want to get emotional here. I'm from a minority, so if anybody... So, don't say that.
Sharing my point of view, we are being factual. She gave examples.
Yes,
She
gave examples?
No, Nima, let me land. She gave examples of real life situation where statements were said that caused aggravation and none of them were called to book. So when we see a country that has selective judicial system and selective prosecution process, we would not trust whatever they do.
It is not for the lack of laws, it's for the failure of institutions,
Okay,
So,
right.
the job is
it my fault?
We have enough laws in this country.
We have enough laws.
Our major
do not
challenge,
have enough.
our major challenge has been implementation. So it is not by making more laws that will stop hate speech. It is by implementing and bringing people
We have a
together.
criminal act law that actually covers hate speech, I believe.
That was what they said before when they were saying this thing at first.
Sedition.
Sorry?
And for sedition, we do not have this level of punishments for it.
Okay.
So if they want to bring it out into a particular law, this will even help us speed up what we need to prove in prosecution.
Do you think we
Okay,
need
let me
this
go on a
level
quick
of
break.
punishment?
When I come back,
do not
we'll start with
agree.
Obiajulu. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
But a life sentence will help.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So as we wrap up on this, let me quickly take a few comments from you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so I would just want to appeal to the government to make sure that they look at this holistically. What parameters do they intend to use to judge what a hate speech is? Have they looked at all the angles, the religious angles? We have a multi-ethnic society. Have they considered all of the factions, all of the areas? Have they put everything into consideration? If they have, and they say that the solution to this hate speech is this law, done, it's fine.
Okay, all right, let me collect. I like, Nima, I like us to look at some of the merits in this law, because there's a part of it that says, and I like you to listen carefully, any person who knowingly utters words to incite feelings of contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination against any person, group, or community on the basis of ethnicity or race would be liable to not less than 5 years or 10 million naira or both. So that sounds like a good thing. Right?
Sounds like.
However, the problem we are discussing here is the abuse of it. Because if you're saying somebody who is hostile towards another community, how do you define hostility?
Is it the community?
Is it the utterance or the action that happens
People should
afterwards?
let this law be passed first now. The court
shouldn't
will
be passed.
interpret. The court will interpret what those lines, what your questions, I'm not addressing them, is what you just said now.
yes.
The court will interpret that at the end of the day. So let the law go. So that, because we are saying now we don't need it. When it comes to be our reality.
Do you agree with death penalty?
Yes.
Tokwe, most people do not agree with death penalty for armed robbery until they lose a family member. That's all.
Most countries are actually trying to prohibit and stop death penalty across board for many of the crimes. So we realize that I don't think Nigeria should actually be taking
The only country that has
death
been able
penalty
to reduce criminality rates knew that it is not by putting people in incarceration. It is by encouraging the environment that they are. So for Nigeria to change from this hate speech issue we are having,
Give us an
it is
enabling
not
environment.
by putting us in incarceration or killing people that give hate speech. It is by encouraging love.
Let me take a few comments from my audience. Go ahead, sir, please.
Okay. You see, the government is introducing this law, in my opinion, because they have failed, in many respects. Because of their failures, because of their flaws, because of their incompetence. I repeat it, because of their incompetence. And because they have failed to endear the citizens to themselves. Because of all these issues, that is why they're introducing this law. And I'm telling you that I'm not a soothsayer, but the same way the 8th Assembly could not pass that law, this time around it's dead on arrival. They are not going to pass it.
Some are even saying that this bill is targeted towards journalists. Showore right now, God forbid they pass this bill, and Showore is still in incarceration. Maybe they'll go and hang the man.
He did not say speech against one person. See, they're not saying this law is defamation. No. This law is not defamation. It is not libel. This law is where it leads to people, when it concerns Nigerians.
Right.
Was I the law?
Let me take comment. Go ahead, madam. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
I like to just appeal to the government that the cry of the masses is no emotional blackmail that someone just put. Because if we want to be factual, like it has been said before, I keep saying it, our government is nothing but a government of tyranny. I keep seeing tyrants in leadership, because this is not just a bill passed to make anything out of us, but just to murder the expressions and freedom of
That's
citizens.
Okay, you're entitled to your view, but I'll caution us with the words we use on television, because I don't want us to use inciting words, okay? But I appreciate your view. Thank you very much. But now we have to wrap up on this, and I'd like Nima to be, because I know you're going to get lots of feedback on this.
I'm
Already
getting it on
getting.
Twitter.
So I'd like you to clarify again your position, so it's clear what you're saying.
So I do not support that, that they curtail freedom of speech.
Right.
But where somebody's speech leads to hatred and loss of lives of a group of people, there should be consequences. And if that's the rationale for this law, I support the law.
Okay. Talk about your own final words on this.
My final words on this is Nigeria needs a whole lot of things. This law is the least of our worries. Can our lawmakers focus on what we really need?
Infrastructure.
Happy, well-fed people will not be saying hate speech.
Very good. If you are have food, and you have healthcare,
Yeah.
and you have education, hate speech will not be a problem. Let me let you.
No be politicians that
We
are
should try as
desperate
much
to
as
have
possible
power.
to be transparent. We know already that we have groups that are agitating, saying that they've not been given a fair chance at leadership. We should look into that. Make sure that everything is neutral and you are seen to be just.
All right.
And we'll be all right.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll discuss challenges teachers are facing. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. The report has it that most of those who are presently teachers found themselves in the field because there was nothing else for them to do. According to reports, many Nigerian teachers are not valued because they're underpaid and amongst many other things. Joining us on the show to discuss the challenges affecting Nigerian teachers is the teacher himself and also a president, Lead Inspire Network, Mr. Oluwaseyi Anifowoshi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good to have you on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
So teachers have complained that they're underpaid, but is that the only issue they are having right now?
Well, the issue is quite enormous as far as I'm concerned. You know, I've been taught for a number of years, 10 years now. I've been teaching for 10 years. And I've discovered that there is so much more to do about the teaching profession. It hurts me that the profession that is supposed to be up here, the profession that is supposed to be the most exalted, the only profession that produces every other profession is treated with levity. You know, so it's so bad. But, you know, a philosopher, Confucius, he said that if your plan is for 1 year, plant rice. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees. But if your plan is for 100 years, educate the children. You know, of course, the popular Nelson Mandela, he said that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. So it's simple. You cannot talk of changing the world without education. You cannot talk of national development without education. And at the very core of education are the teachers. The Nigerian National Policy and Education says that no educational system can rise above the quality of its teachers.
Hey!
You know, so
we can't land here.
Saharan, he said in 2009, he said that nations are built by its citizens. And then citizens are molded by teachers.
So we see the importance of teachers, obviously.
So the point is,
the foundation.
This is it. This is where to start.
Right.
This is where to start. There is this disservice that we do to ourselves as teachers. Teachers think that our job is just to make students pass exam. I've been teaching for a number of years. I presented students for external exams. The least thing you can do as a teacher is to make students pass the exam. I said it in one of my videos, because I make videos for teachers. I said, see, you are not a teacher because you teach math or because you teach English or geography. You are a teacher because you possess the capacity to illuminate the mind, inspire change, and transform generations. So that's how it starts. That's how it starts from understanding the teacher personality.
We understand that very clearly, obviously. Teachers are extremely important. And I know that I'm working on a project that has to do with education, and teachers obviously are the focal point of this project. Okay. And one of the things we found is that the methods the teachers are adopting today, it's not like it's not as though that our teachers are not educated or they don't have the requisite knowledge to educate. Okay. It's the method in which they're using, number one. The fact that many of them actually do not teach. They don't have, the hours they use in the classrooms are limited. Many of them actually just go to school, write on the board, and disappear. And the children copy down notes and get their assignment. That's it. They're not really teaching. So, yes, we agree the importance of teachers, but are we going to give the responsibility, some responsibility of this performance of teachers to the teachers themselves? They also should adopt modern technology, modern methodology to teach the children too, don't you think?
Yes, that's why I said I had to start with the fact that for us to, we can begin to cast aspersions on other people, right, and to talk about what other people are not doing to us. Yes. We have to first of all talk about what we need to do to ourselves. Exactly. And that has to do with how teachers possessing the competence, right, that we need. Right. Trust me, I had to travel sometimes 2017 for, right, my PhD, and then it took more than 5-6 months to get a replacement for me in my office. Are we saying that we don't have people that are looking for jobs? We do have, but we don't have people that are competent enough to do the job in the classroom.
Okay, so
that's what we're saying.
I share your passion, you know, because I spoke about this exact topic at BC's Nurturing the Nurturer event, which is an event for teachers. And I spoke about the fact that teachers should understand that their job is beyond just teaching. It's about transforming lives. But when we go to the College of Education, the kind of people they are churning out are not the kind of people you would want to teach your children.
Of course.
When we see people that apply to be teachers, they do it as a last resort because they didn't get jobs everywhere else. So how do we make the teaching profession interesting and attractive to people?
That's the thing. That's where we need to start from. We, you know,
is it about money?
It's not about money. This is what I see. Money does not deliver value. Value delivers money to you, and so it's not about money. And so, see, we need to make the teaching profession attractive. And you know, corporate organizations need to invest into teaching. Like I said the other time, see, I see teachers as the custodians of the future. So when you invest into education, what you're doing is you are investing into the future. Unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria is we have organizations, individuals invest into, I don't have anything against reality shows, but you know, someone goes home with over 60 million, and then education events, what do we get?
100,000.
5,000 bucks, you know? And so we need to invest, corporate organizations need to invest, support. For instance, one of the projects that I have is to organize highly rewarding competitions for teachers where not just one teacher, 2-3 teachers go home with brand new cars. Not just 5 million, 10 million. That's how to start.
Encourage them.
Encourage the teachers.
I'm shaking on my seat because I share your passion, you know. But then I was talking to a couple of teachers.
Okay.
And I realized that it's not because they are not passionate. It's not because they don't know what to do. But there's no enabling environment for them to flourish. Now, you go to a training. I did a training for teachers, teaching them the 21st century teaching methods that can be used in the classrooms. They learned a lot of those things. But most of them told me that they are going back to their schools where their curriculum is different. Yes. They will not be given the opportunity to practice what they've learned in that training in those schools. The schools that allow you practice are schools in that realm that have a lot of money. They pay their teachers well. So the disparity is so much. How do you think the government, let's go to government schools, that's where my heart really is for the children. How do you think the government can equip the schools, can reward the teachers, you know, commensurate to what they are putting in to make it attractive for them?
You see, you know, just like you said, when teachers go out for trainings and for conferences, they are not able to implement most of the things that they have learned. And so that's a challenge. And so just like you said, you actually answered the question. Government, they need to decisively and intentionally invest into education. So you can, if you teach today's children, as you taught yesterday's, you rob them of the future. And so what do we see in most government schools? Some of the government schools don't even have chairs to sit, not to talk of projectors or TV. You know, so how does a teacher handle a class where it doesn't even have enough resources to do what it needs to do?
Exactly. Let me come to Nima for a second.
So government can't do it all, and that's the reality that has just hit us in Nigeria. America will say, don't say what your country can do for you, what can you do for your country? So at this point now, what exactly can we do? And I'm not going to start with teachers, but the teaching colleges are the most disrespected level of higher institutions in Nigeria. Okay. That's what I see, because I live close to one there. What do you do? Go into those places to talk to, do you as a body talk to young would-be teachers studying in those colleges of education, trying to give them a different perspective or opinion, or better their mindset about teaching as a profession, that because most of them end up in those colleges because, of course, JAMB did not jam them well. They didn't get the law courses that they wanted to do. But it's possible to turn around that mindset and help them see that profession as something laudable to do. What are you doing as a body to reach from that level?
Okay, so that's why I started with the fact that the change that we need begins with the teacher himself or herself. And so what we do is to organize basically two things. We organize conferences and then we organize competitions. And so the conferences are geared towards changing the mindset of the teachers, and not just the practicing teachers, but students that are going to be teachers. When you go to the universities, when you go to the colleges of education, you discover that those that are in the faculty of education, when you see them, you can practically liken them to the teachers you see outside. You know, they have this low self-esteem. They're not happy. In fact, and the reason they're actually in the faculty of education is because they wanted a different course. They didn't get it, and so they had to tell them to come to this.
Let me share with you. Let me share with you something that I know from Edo State, because I know Governor Baseki actually implemented a project called Edo Best, and what they did was equip all the teachers. They trained all the teachers. The teachers in Edo State have been encouraged, they've been empowered with tools. They have a pad, a tablet they use. Every single teacher has a tablet they use. All their curriculum, all their exercises are
like
in
the
those tabs. And when not appointment,
Just like that.
the format,
Have you seen the appointment before?
I've seen
Did you ever see
appointment for the children.
but
These
the
are
curriculum was
teaching
there.
enablers. They help so every teacher doesn't have to even use lesson notes like before. Everything is in the tab. They don't need to be charged every single day. They charge us once a week. And the teacher use them. Then the head teachers can monitor what the teacher is teaching at every point in time. So they're ensuring that teaching is actually going on in each of the classrooms. Because what we found in public schools is that teachers don't actually teach. They go there, do what they have to do, and leave. Or go tell the children to pluck a goosey. So with those monitors, so I know that Governor Obaseki in Edo State has done that, and Lagos State government
and even Empower has done that. Empower did that. All
Yes.
their teachers have that same tablet.
Exactly, and
just like
Lagos
that
State is
for
replicating
Empower.
that same project, which they're working on right now. And I know that Lagos State plans to hire about 5,000 teachers in the next few months.
2,000.
So, this brings me to you mentioned competence when you started your talk. And when the JAMB scores came out, it was painful because with 100, you can get into the colleges of education. So somebody who has the lowest can teach your children. Where do we start from in that regard? Are they supposed to be like the ones to have the 260 and the 280 to be able to get into that profession? So we are the ones belittling that profession.
That's the thing. You say we make the teaching profession the weakest because of that system. If the students with the highest scores, they go to the universities.
Study medicine.
Followed by those, the next one, they go to the polytechnics, and then the ones with the lowest scores. And so we need to change the order.
Yes.
That's the thing. We need to change the order. If you want the best in education, then get the best.
Right.
If you want of course, that's why most departments they have cutoff. If you do not meet the cutoff, they don't admit you into their faculty or their department. So why do we take those that are not admitted into a department and we give them to education department?
Exactly.
What are you saying?
So that's definitely something we need to do. I know in Finland, teachers are like one of the most prestigious workers in that country, where they are respected and they are people that are actually totally adored. So I understand your passion, I understand the issues you're having, but I'd like you to leave us with a final word on what you think government should do to encourage teachers to continue teaching.
It's basic. Government should invest into education. I'm sure we don't need to start a debate about the present budget by the president. It's less than 10%. And so we must make we must be decisive about what we do with education. The government must invest, like I said the other time, an investment into education is an investment into the future.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to add a little to that, because what I have found is that there's been so many interventions on education. A lot, like Empower, many World Bank initiatives have come. But when they come, they go, and we go right back to status quo. Yeah. So aside from equipping our teachers and training our teachers, we also need to change the mindset and thinking of the handlers.
Yes, continuity.
So that there's continuity on these initiatives, because you can do so much and yet does like nothing happened. On that note, we're going to break now. And we come back, we'll discuss agriculture. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So finally, report has it that young people, especially graduates, will rather wait for years looking for a white-collar job. With the present border closure and aim to boost our economy, agriculture is becoming a major target, and the government need the young people today to get into this sector, to boost the sector, actually. Our guest will be enlightening us on how young people can be empowered through agriculture. Joining us on the show is the director, Babangona Farmer Services, Lola Masha. Welcome to the show. So you're a farmer?
I am a farmer.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So
it's a pleasure to be here.
So we hear farming, get into agriculture,
Yes.
and it's almost like it's vague. We don't even know. Do we want to just go and look for one land and start, and growing stuff? So we don't understand what it takes. Could you walk us through, if we want to get into agriculture, what are the options out there?
So the way that we think of agriculture is actually more as agribusiness.
Okay.
Because it's not agriculture the way we think of traditionally, which is having a plot of land and going to the farm.
Right.
It's seeing it as a source of income.
Okay.
It's a business just like any other business. And if you think of a business, what you essentially look at is the value chain of that business. From the investment that you need, the capital you need to actually kick off the business, to the various operations, right? If it's planting, if it's production, if it's processing, storage, harvesting, what part of their value chain are you actually interested in? Okay. It's understanding your market. There's also, cold chain storage if you want to look into vegetables, for example. So I think the first step is really breaking down agriculture into its component parts.
Right.
And thinking through, okay, where does my interest and my skill set align across the value chain?
So, for example, if somebody a young person likes designs, you're very good with colors, you can actually focus on the packaging of goods.
Exactly.
So you can now propose to various farmers, like, okay, once you're done, I can help you put together a package.
Exactly, or the marketing of it.
Right.
So I can provide some context on actually how we operate in agriculture.
Please.
We are a social impact enterprise, and essentially our objective is to ensure that our smallholder farmer members where we work see agriculture not just as a form of sustenance, but again as a business to increase their incomes. Right. So do we actually own the land ourselves? We don't.
Okay.
But what do? We go out, we raise funding, we raise financing from the banks domestically and from funders nationally as well. We take those funds and we on-lend to our smallholder farmer members. We work in 5 states in the north. We work in Kaduna, in Kano, in Plateau State, in Katsina State, and in Bauchi State. Okay. We also work with the suppliers of inputs to these farmers. So quality input, if it's seeds, if it's fertilizers, it's bringing the science in agriculture to our smallholder farmers. We also then provide them with expertise because frankly, a lot of people in agriculture perform it the way they've been taught by their fathers and their forefathers. Old school, which isn't always the best way to get the best yields. Right? So basic things around which seed should you use, when should you apply particular type of fertilizer, when should you water your crops, how should you space your crops. Those are all scientific knowledge that you can actually apply to improve your yields.
See, let me first of all shine light on. So I feel that, when listening to you, you've taken care of the entire chain. You didn't talk about one, you didn't miss any. In fact, I just got 2 more from you. Having listened to you, the entire chain of this. An average farmer in Nigeria, the reality why people do not trust when government says we are sufficient in this food, we are sufficient in that is because we know, an average farmer doesn't know this entire chain that you're talking about. How much of your free time do you spend to try to give other farmers, not under your covered under your business now, the knowledge of this chain so that people know where to come in?
Well, do they need to be involved? Those farmers don't need to be. That was what I'm hearing.
Yes, no, not directly.
Okay.
Farmers, anybody.
Okay.
So now, someone knows when to come in. I could want to come in at planting stage. I could want to come in at, processing. Whatever stage of processing, you just broke down at least 3 more stages of processing.
So there are various business models to play in agriculture. The one you just mentioned is a very valuable one, which is educating potential farmers or existing farmers on how to be competent and how to improve their yields. What we do is we work with currently so far about 70,000 farmers in the regions that we work in. Our goal is to get to 1 million by 2025. So we still have a very long way to go, and we provide that holistic package. However, other people don't have to. So again, back to the point of thinking about what is your skill set and how do you want to play in the agric value chain. It's such a wide and broad value chain.
It's a fantastic initiative. A country, we can't succeed as a country until we feed ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we can't feed ourselves by importation, so we need
correct.
to grow it.
Yes.
So there's a crop of people.
Yes.
that are studying agric.
Yes.
We have many universities of agriculture in Nigeria.
That's true.
So how are we approaching people that generically go to school to study agriculture with no intention of practicing?
Yeah.
How are we creating that intervention by going to meet these young people and showing them the options available and how lucrative this is? Because I have a mentee that is in a University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, and she wants to farm, and she already has her grandfather's farm she wants to. I am very impressed that the 21-year-old girl knows clearly what she wants to do. She's planting this year. I mean, next year, but plantain. So how do we get the universities to groom them like that, to have a direction? Immediately they are done from school, they just go into whatever section of agriculture they desire.
The one thing I just want to challenge is that those that are in that faculty don't have the intent to stay in it.
They don't.
Most of them do. They may not, because the options are limited. So the question is, how do we make sure that they see the options as viable? Right. And it goes back to the same point is, okay, and as we educate them, I'm not sure how we teach in these various schools, right?
They do well because they took them to different farms.
And we've hired a few actually from that particular school. And again, it's thinking about exposing, which is the point of education, right? It's exposing our students to the range of value chains, range of opportunities within the agribusiness.
I don't want us to talk over anybody's head, because we have 40+ people here in the studio, and any of them might actually be interested in this business. So I'd like us to speak to them. So somebody now would like to get into agriculture because they feel it's viable. They don't have land, they don't have seeds, they don't have anything, and they're thinking, okay, which part do I come in? For example, they know they can find out there's a rice farmer, right? So how can they use the produce of rice, maybe repackage it, or even process it to something else? Because we know that lots of baby food is made out of rice, for example. So what are the options they can consider, and how do they even start?
So let me answer that by saying, if I want to learn about being a good hairdresser, what do I do?
You go and
hairdressing school.
You go to hairdressing school.
Right.
If I want to learn about how to be a journalist, what do I do?
Go and intern in
Or you intern, right? So the first step is you learn about the industry in detail.
Fantastic.
Right? You invest time and effort to know who are the players in this value chain.
Fantastic.
Who are the key companies? Who are the key, who are the experts in that space? Can I interact with them? Can I connect with them? How do I then want to enter that
to open up your mind.
Open up your mind into the options.
Tabled everything.
Yes.
We usually see agriculture, and in fact, when we did agric subject in the in secondary school, then they took us to the farm. We had to plant the beans
manual labor
and all of that. So most of the children, because I'm looking at how to make it attractive for the young ones who really do not have like a focus. You know, most of the young ones just see agriculture as me getting to the farm and soiling my hands, and they don't want that. They want jobs that, you know, they can wear their tie and all of that. But when you broke it down, I'm even thinking as I'm sitting down here, the areas where I can get in, where I don't have to soil my hand. So how do we break it down in terms of, are you working with like schools in terms of curriculum to see how they can break it down? You coming in as experts to teach this.
Let me give an example.
Let's pick a product.
Let me give an example.
Yes.
I love cashew.
Yes.
Okay? I love cashew, my favorite snack. Number one, I get frustrated that for some reason all the cashew makers put out their cashew in bottles. It's so difficult to come out. You keep
But there's some in bags now. They have some in bags.
We don't have enough of those. So most of them are in bottles and they're narrow heads.
That's true.
So I'm frustrated. But can't all of you think that this doesn't make any sense? All of you are producing the same bottle that is difficult to come out. Difficult to come out. That's one. Number two, I like cashew such that I would like to spread it on maybe on my bread.
Yes, okay.
But unfortunately, we have peanut spread, we have almond spread. We don't have cashew spread. So I'm thinking that, okay, can I have a cashew spread?
Yes.
Can I have this?
Yes.
Now, what do I do with that idea? Okay, I want to have a cashew spread. Who do I go to?
Okay, so first of all, how did peanut spread become popular? It's marketing, right? Somebody got the idea to say, okay, we always use butter, we use margarine, we use blue band. Why don't we have peanut butter? And someone had the idea to say, let me start to make peanut butter.
Right.
Okay, so your idea is, I want to make cashew spread. Okay, how do I go to those that actually make cashews? Right? And it's through networking, discussions, conversations. I actually have a friend who owns a factory that produces cashews in bags, in sachets, right? So not in bottles, right? So he actually has a value chain. He produces the sachets for domestic use, but also for export. So you go talk to him to say, okay, maybe what, the broken cashews, right, that you can't use for domestic use because people want it whole, right? The broken cashews, you can buy that. And make a spread. Okay, so at least you have the source for your cashews. Now, how do I make a spread? You go to those that make peanut butter spread, and research how they make spread. How do they make peanut butter spread? It's not complicated. You take the granite, you blend it until the oil comes out really smooth. You have your spread.
You have a stabilizer.
And you can and you can add different flavors and so on if you like. I have a friend that does tomato paste. Right, she understands processing, packaging, those stabilizers. So you need to understand, okay, how would I now package?
To know these people.
That's right. And it's through conversations, it's through networking, it's through asking questions, it's through putting yourself out there to say, I have this idea. Everything in life begins with an idea, right? I didn't study agriculture.
Wow.
I studied engineering.
Imagine.
I did not grow up in the north, right? I grew up in Lagos.
That's where the market is.
I don't speak Hausa. I'm not Hausa. Besides in Akwana, just simple phrases, basic. But that's where we work, right? And we've built a business where we work with 70,000 farmers. 70,000 farmers over the last.
I want to talk about my Nima's person, Ama Wonders, that does spices. And I've met another person that does spices too, really young businesses. And it was first out of job, not having a job.
Right.
And then they realized, I'm consuming spices and it's stressful. I can make a business. Because I like the way you're breaking it down so that people watching that they're not doing anything. We have a high unemployment rate, can pick up something now in the agro space and start earning money.
Right.
Can you create another value chain? You just did for cashew. Give us another example of something else that can be done there.
So I wanted to, because a lot of times when we hear government say agriculture, some people say the insecurities up north cannot allow us do businesses. I wanted to pick off you since you have a business there. How exactly is it? Is it difficult? Is it a difficult terrain to do business? And the insecurities there that we'll hear in the papers.
So that's actually what drove us starting Babangona. 10 years ago, we noticed there was an increase in unrest and insurgencies in Nigeria, increase in Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, and so on. We thought, what is driving these insurgencies? We did a lot of research, asked a lot of questions, spoke to people, and realized that a huge part of it was youth unemployment. Over the last 20 years, we've had 20 million youth enter the Nigerian workforce. They still don't have jobs. Over the next 20 years, we project 80 million people, youth, to enter this same workforce. So times 4, we already have a problem. We are now having that problem times 4. So we thought, what could we do to contribute to solve that challenge? And we thought, what is the industry that is the largest employer of labor? We literally went from education, healthcare, construction, agriculture, and what you find is agriculture is still the largest employer of labor. So we said, where is agriculture being done in Nigeria? The north is still the food basket, whether we like it or not. The tomatoes, the maize, the grains, onions, everything comes from there. So we said, why don't we kick off in that area? And that area, unfortunately, is also the area that has the largest problem with insurgencies. So the region that is feeding us is the poorest region in the country. That is highly unfortunate. So that's what drove us to start Babangona in Kaduna, where we began, with the idea that we want to create employment, fulfilling work for young, unemployed Nigerian youth, and ensure that they can increase their incomes by getting into that business.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. Time is fast spent. I don't know if you could just take a whole hour talking about this, but we need to bring you back.
Yes,
we have to bring you because we need to get into the opportunities in agriculture. Lots of, I know rice is one thing. Corn. They just harvest corn, but there's so much you can do with corn. It's unbelievable how much production you can get from corn.
That's right.
So there's so much you can do, and Sorry?
Grits in the US, they eat grits and it's made from corn. And I've never heard about that before in Nigeria.
Yes.
Things we
So
can't
there's so many
consume.
things. So we need to do. I'd like you to come and do a proper workshop for our viewers.
Okay.
So picnic want a full an hour in the day.
No problem.
Bring you on.
And I can bring partners as well.
Partners.
Right?
Let's
So
all
it's
talk.
not
But
just-
let's do an agricultural show.
Yes.
So people
Okay,
know the
sounds
opportunity in this industry. All right. That's all we can take. We'd like to appreciate Cream Slices for this beautiful cake. Thank you so much to Cream Slices. Every Wednesday, they send us cake. You are amazing. Thank you so much to Cream Slices. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.